Alright, people. Let me just, as always, gonna share the live feed. Get it out there. Just un momento, por favor. Let me just get this out there. Alright, almost done. Alright, is that... Just waiting for that to be shared. I believe that I've done that. Just... I tell you, I don't... They keep changing the layout of the app, so I forget what buttons to press to... Alright, there it is. It's happening, people. It's happening. Alright. So. Alright. Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Inna alhamdulillah wa kafa. Wassalatu wassalamu ala رسوله المصطفى وعلى عباده الذين ارتضى ومن بهداهم اهتدى وبآثار أهل المدينة اقتفى وبعد فسلام الله على القوم أهلا وسهلا وbienvenidos a todos وخشامديد and swagatam, people, swagatam. Alright, is Mufti Salam Mock and Block crew? Alright, the Mock and Block crew should be in full focus. Somebody's asking, no drinks? Of course, my drinks are right here, people, right here. With my Sam Crow Men of Mayhem. Alright. That's what we're talking about, people. That's what we are talking about. Right. So, how have you all been doing, folks? Let me get a sip to get this started. Nothing quite like that. Allah, Allah, Allah. Now, what is going on? Alright. Why is my t-shirt the wrong way round? I've had this specially printed just so I can drink with my left hand on it. What do you say? Hello, Mufti Abu Layth al-Maliki. First of all, I want to say you're a shukran marga. A couple of weeks ago, Islam is permitted unless... That was a wow moment. The question is, what kind of evidence is there? Give a shout out to Oldham Glowick. Doing it, people, doing it. Joyce needs du'as. Right, look at that. The admin are, look at that. Locked and loaded. Ready to go. That's the admin crew on the Operation Mock and Block, people. Mock and Block. Right, haircut. Yep, the haircut. You know, I was... God damn, I thought, let's go on a quiet day. It was just getting out of order. My hair grows too fast, and so it's probably all the nonsense I take. All the amount of tablets the amount of tablets I consume, and that's not even talking about the ecstasy and the... Not. Right, wa alaykum as-salam. So, Wasama wa alaykum as-salam, people. Ahlan wa sahlan. You know the drill, hermanos. Right? Chicos, you know the drill. That you like, click, share. Salams, are we allowed to get faded haircuts? Let me demonstrate al-jawaz, permissibility, by role modeling the behavior. Alright. Hell yeah, you're allowed to get trimmed, faded haircuts. Why not? How do we spell or? Is it or? Which or are you talking about? Is it the desi or? Or pir? Is it that or? Or is it another? Can we colour our beards? Colour them however you want, my friend. Take out the crayons and get colouring. Faded haircuts, are they allowed? Rabi'ul Tikhan. Na'am. Na'am. They are allowed. They are allowed. Ifzal, love from Blackburn, right back at you in Blackburn, people. Momo, alright. All the way from Cairo. When is something considered betting, gambling with friends? Well, Ali, when is something considered betting, gambling? It's usually at the point that you've lost everything. And you're kind of trying to say, well, right. It's usually at that point, it's definitely, and you're bankrupt. That point, it's definitely gambling. So what about lines in haircuts? Yeah, you can have lines in haircuts if you want. I think I'm a bit too old for all of that now. Right, what do I say? My parents have an issue with me wiping over my socks for wudu, not washing my feet. What should I do? You could just wash the feet. Alternatively, you could just do wudu in the bathroom when people are not watching you. Like the rest of us. So, what's your view on the L'Oreal controversy? Qomlom. What's the L'Oreal controversy? What's the L'Oreal controversy, people? Oh, is that the one with the... Is that the one with that hijabi YouTuber or something? Is that the one? Or my... what is a good commentary on the Quran? Right, Maliki retreat in Pembrokeshire, people. It needs to happen. Alright, Maliki retreat. That's what we're talking about. Yes, it's the one with the woman in hijab making comments about Israel and then taking them back or something like that. I think I could be... is she advertising hair products? Right, I'm not sure what the controversy is. If it's what I've come across, well, I've come across some YouTuber, hijabi YouTuber who has issued a statement saying I retract all my tweets, anti-Israel tweets and things like that. So if the question is, what do I think about her retraction? Or is the question, what do I think about her being a part of the campaign? Or what do I think about, I don't know. I mean, there could be many questions. Let's just keeping focused on Sheikh Siddiq Munshi's in the house. Ahlan wa sahlan, Sheikh. Ahlan wa sahlan. Ahlan wa sahlan. Right now, the litmus test. You know the litmus test, people. You know the litmus test is to click like and share. Get it out there, people. The fitan and fasad, they need to spread. Last time I checked, devil can't do all the work himself. He needs some help. So, about this controversy. Look, I don't know. When I read the tweets and her statement, I wasn't paying too much attention. But from what I gathered, she retracted them because of her being sacked from a campaign or something. Well, it's just the nature of the world we live in, isn't it? Although I don't think, personally, that there's anything wrong in highlighting the Israeli kind of atrocities and in saying that they are a kind of terrorist state, which they are. So I don't find any problem. Although I can imagine that if I was trying to get a job with a company that is trying to keep its face internationally, that could compromise my position with them. So yeah, that's just tough luck. It's just politics. It's just the nature of the world. Can you give salam to a kafir? Hell yeah, you can give salam to a kafir. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi ta'ala. But yes, you can give salam. So no hay problemas, okay, people, in giving salam. Could you explain the big age gap between the Prophet and Aisha? What is there to explain? I mean, there's an age gap, and what? So I think if your question is why would people with an age gap get married, well, the question isn't why. The question is, why have you got an issue with it? If two consenting people are doing whatever they want, what is anybody else's problem? So age, man and woman have to be of the same age or have only a 2-year gap between them. Who came up with that law? That's not a law. Do whatever the hell you want, people. It doesn't... These things are just very arbitrary. I remember seeing some Facebook post about some... I think there was a business tycoon. Some guy looked like he was in his late... I mean, I don't know about looked like, but they said he was in his late 50s, early 60s, something like this. But he was like a stud-looking guy, you understand? Like with all this... I can't remember. I think he was Italian or something. But he, you know, like all his styled out hair and slick physique and everything. And he had some kind of... I don't know whether that was his wife or girlfriend. Model-like... I think she may have actually been a model, or she was definitely model-like. And so she must have been probably in her early 20s, and everybody was like, oh my God, so disgusting. And they were, you know, and they were just commenting on this couple. And people are just losers. It's like, it's none of your goddamn business. So some people on there were speaking sense and saying, just look at that guy, for God's sake. The guy's like a stud. He's much better looking than most guys, even at that age. And so people were saying, look, why does it bother anybody? Because some people were saying, oh, well, just because he's got money, he could have, you know, I bet she's only married him for his money. And, well, it's nobody's business. They're just jealous. You know what it is? It really is just jealousy. That's all it is. It's like... people see that and they just get all wound up and jealous. That they probably see that why. So, for example, the men are probably just jealous. The women are probably some of them jealous. Some of them probably just jealous of the situation of not being, or not thinking, why is this person so happy? You know, some people, they can't take other people being happy. They're like, why is this person so happy? And so they have to then express that. But anyway, so there's no such thing as, it's not an issue. If people have an age gap, they have an age gap. If you don't want to have an age gap, don't have an age gap. Right, exactly. This is the thing. People have an issue with other people being happy. Yeah, I mean, look, if somebody is in their 60s and they're getting married to, I'm just saying, like in that example, to a model so young, what could you say apart from, well played? And we all hope to be in that situation at that age. Guru, teach me, oh sensei. Teach me, sensei. I'm just saying what everybody's thinking. So, right, I've got some questions right here. Oh my God, my baby just vomited. Right, okay, well, right, I don't know how to respond to that comment. I hope your baby is okay. Inshallah, say mashallah, mashallah, you're the man, you're the... Live and let live, hell yeah. Alright, Imam Mark is in the house, people. Imam Mark, right, from the States. Add him, follow him, reach out to him. Tell me book name behind you. Tell me book name behind you. Which book name? That's one, this one. Well, that one right behind me is the Masalik of Al-Qadi Abu Bakr ibn Arabi, the Don, the legend from Muslim Spain, and the Don Maliki scholar. And that's a commentary on the Muwatta of Imam Malik. Female medical problems. This means that I'm only able to pray a few days a month. It's really getting to me. Never should I go ahead and pray anyway? Not Salah. I've read so many different. Really appreciate a straight answer from someone. Well, when you're saying, right, Salam alaikum assalam, Mu'ayyiz, love from Pakistan, right back at you guys. Right, when somebody's asking about female problems, women problems, I'm assuming, and this is this is my assumptions. Otherwise, perhaps there could be many a female problem. Sorry, excuse the jokes, but I'm assuming you're speaking about kind of irregular bleedings. This is what we're speaking about, yeah? Irregularity in, so not, because you said you can only pray a few prayers in a month. So I'm assuming, and I could be wrong, that you're saying that so for the majority of the month there's non-stop profuse, or maybe not profuse, but there's, I mean, it couldn't be non-stop profuse bleeding, I'm sure. You'd run out of blood. But there's bleeding as in haphazard, ad hoc throughout the month. This bleeding is considered non-menstrual blood, and this is what in Arabic they call istihada, and you are allowed to pray with this. It's not an issue. What I would advise is, if you can differentiate yourself between when your actual menstruation occurs, then you just go by your differentiation. So if you can tell that these are definitely the days of my menstruation, then you can count those as your menstrual cycle, and the rest of them just ignore. Or if you can't tell, then in that case, although to be fair, medically, because menstruation is actually something separate to just bleeding, there may be ways that the doctors can help you, but you can just guess. You can just set an estimate in saying, okay, these are my days. I'll have like what my usual habit used to be 7 days. I'll count the 7, or some people say you add 3 to be on the set, like 10, and the rest you just always just carry on praying as normal. And then when it comes to that cycle, you just set aside that number again. I hope that's given some insight. So I would say either you can just, if you can differentiate, then ignore all irregular bleeding, okay? And if you can't differentiate, then you're going to have to estimate and then move on. Right, so try signing out then in again. People, ahlan wa sahlan bikum. Those of you just tuning in, click like, click share, people. Get it out there. You are a fitna, because you talk, no one will follow you at all. Nah, Rahman. Oh, what do you mean, huh? What? I don't understand, man. Mark and block, people, mark and block. That's what I'm talking about. Hell yeah. Mark and block them. So I've taken some questions from the list, and I'll be taking others. Doc is in the house, people. Doc Madge, how you doing, man? Did Imam Malik have a goatee? Did Imam Malik have a... I know he had a horse. And he had... Oh, you don't mean his animals. You didn't have a particular... Did he have a goatee? Well, I don't think he did. Neither did he wear this kind of a t-shirt. Neither did he use Facebook Live. So, and neither am I, Imam Malik. Neither are you. So, right, people reflect their own day and age, as Imam Malik reflected his own day and age. Right, where are the mock and block crew? God damn it, doing a lazy job. Right, this la per bebe. Oh, ma andiretta. Ponytail, yes, a ponytail is permissible. Ponytail is fine, people. It's a bit out now, though, for men, but yeah, why not? Why not? Can you keep box beard? Of course you can keep a box beard. Right, so here we start on the clothing. I know. God damn it. God. Let's take some of these questions that have already come. Right, so, and I'll kind of blend them in, people. I'll blend them to kind of keep that. Right, so, yes, camel. No, that is not camel urine. But that is one of the questions I've got. I'll be coming to that. So, keep it tuned. Like, share, get it out there, people. Get it out there. Maulana Tariq Jamil here in Pakistan. Of course, Maulana Tariq Jamil is an amazing person from Pakistan. Right now. Right, so somebody had asked a question. Shall we start? What kind of a... I'm just thinking how serious, how... Go on then. Let's go with one of the serious ones that I've been... You're very welcome. You're very welcome. Man, long time. What are you up to? Is it haram to seize the means of production? What does that even mean? Can I get an ijazah for that laugh? Hell yeah. Hell yeah. Right, somebody has asked about... well, Zafar had asked the question that he felt by reviewing Islamic teachings of the ages, he felt kind of a bit, his words, a bit disgusted in saying, look, people had said all these things in our books and they're saying kill so-and-so and kill such and such, and you can force people to be this, and you can force... People had said things like you could force sex slaves and you could do this and do that in the past. And so Zafar had written in his question that he felt disgusted by this. And is this what led to the kind of corruption of Islam? Right. Alright, just seeing some of you tuning in. Ahlan wa sahlan, people. Ahlan wa sahlan. Those of you just tuning in, oh, I see Bilal, Hassan, hope you're better. Bro, I know you're in hospital. Other than that, click like, click share, get this stuff out there, people. Right, so this is an important question to do with morals. Okay. To do with morals. Now, you see, and ethics, we've got to understand that ethics change with the day and age. So most of us today have our understanding of ethics as a result of our environment and our age. Right? So we are actually more a product of even our understanding in general of right and wrong comes to us, whether we acknowledge this or not, it actually comes to us through our age. So most of us, inshallah, carry 21st century ethics. Now, we may not acknowledge that, we may not think that to be true, we may think that no, this, I carry Islamic ethics and so on and so forth. Really, we carry our ethics from our age and then from our environment. So sometimes your environment could vary from the general age, but depending on where you are in the world. But yeah, now in my understanding, Islam always dictates that Islam ought to, it mandates that it ought to reflect the ethics of the age. So, right. Alright, Bilal, tasavir, kangaru, también. Okay, right. So, now, so Islam dictates and mandates that it should reflect the ethics of the age. So in the 21st century, I've highlighted things like capital punishment, in my understanding, from an Islamic perspective, would be impermissible, as would any of these other rulings like, whipping, or I don't know, all these kind of cutting the hands of the thief and stuff like this. And there's a small video already available on YouTube and Facebook where I go into the explanation of that, and I highlight the Maliki precedents in highlighting this through maqasid and demonstrating. So great scholars from the 8th century of Islam like Abul Qasim al-Burzuli, who had spoken on that in his day and age, and other scholars. And I've spoken about that in the past, and I've read from the books and everything. So, yes, so the thing is, today our ethics would definitely be reflected in the Sharia, in Islam. The question is, how do we view those rulings of the past? There's two things here. We would disagree with several rulings of the past because Islam would want us to kind of people. Abu al-Aswadaini Elmi says, "Yeah, murtad." Just calling me an apostate. Oh, apostate. Na'am. Ya Abul Aswadain. And he's got the name, two black ones. the one who possesses two black ones. I mean, my imagination, I don't want to, it's... Ya Abul Aswadain. Well, damn. Looks like I'm an apostate, folks. That's great to hear. Let me just send Abul Aswadain, blast him into oblivion. Right? So, well, there you go. From Nightmare on Elm Street, Freddy Krueger. Right? So, coming back to this issue. Now, the thing, as I was saying, is we would disagree with several of those rulings. But do we disparage those people or look down on them or call them like names or insult them? No, we do not. Because, nice haircut, when will you come out to your parents? Oh, Christopher Ring Jackson. You nutty. Looks like somebody's got their gaydar switched on. But when will I come out to my parents? Well, if you insist and if you motivate me, I'll try and get on to that. But right, so now what we would not do, coming back to the question, what we would not do is say, oh, why did Qadi Iyad, why did Qadi Abu Bakr ibn Arabi from 900 years ago say this? What a backward person. Well, first of all, he obviously is not from the 21st century, he's from 900 years ago. So, 900 years ago, they were way ahead of their age. So, you have to understand that they were well ahead of their time. Brett Kyle is saying, I miss Christopher Hitchens. I miss him too, honestly. Amazing legend of a person. Right, so now, the thing is, so there's two things, as I was saying. One is to disagree with the rulings as they may have evolved. Some rulings haven't, some have. Depends on what the rulings were. Rituals pretty much stay the same. In terms of they followed the Maliki madhab in Andalusia, in Muslim Spain. School of Medina. That's it, people. The Maliki madhab. Right, so now Hamza Palya, what? Or water? I don't know what I'm being propositioned to right there. I don't even want to read it out. Right, so now we don't disagree, like we may disagree with rulings. So if people had said in the past, okay, we can cut hands off, the Sharia would dictate change with time, as Abul Qasim al-Burzuli and other Malikiya had highlighted. But we don't have to say those people were wrong, because for their day and age, they were in line with the age. Because that's what the age mandated. Now, Islam, when it came 1400 years ago, the laws it brought was simply a reflection of the environment. It didn't actually introduce any of the laws. It just curbed and just polished up on certain practices that already existed. So it just said, okay, don't do that, but okay, you can do this. And it just placed parameters, that's all. So that's what it kind of did. And that's what I call the social remedy theory, that Islam came as a social remedy. And therefore, it would evolve, the rulings would continue to change with the day and age. So somebody had misunderstood me and said I was trying to say that ethics are objective and God has to rule by the ethics of the age. I'm not saying that ethics is an objective entity. What I'm saying is that ethics is an understanding that humans arrive at. Okay. I do feel that this is on an escalation. So humans are revising, reviewing, and constantly kind of arriving or at more kind of like we're on a path to enhanced ethics. So people today will have, I mean, unfortunately, the way it is that religion hasn't caught up with 21st century ethics. That's religion with a capital R. Most religions haven't caught up yet. So, and Islam ought to be spot on if it wasn't for the people that are holding it back. So many Muslims continue to kind of hold back Islam and not allow it to reflect its day and age as it ought to be. So yeah. Right, so that said, right, what other questions, people? There's quite a few here. I will be taking them. So, no, we don't feel disgusted. We recognize that fiqh has been through an evolution. Okay. Marijuana, I've answered in the past on several occasions. I've said that marijuana is more an issue of legality and not theology. It's not an issue of religion, in my understanding. Right, so now, would you consider yourself a reformer of the faith? Hi, Brett Kyle, you teasing me, you. I don't know. Perhaps people might see me as a deformer. Somebody said he's a deformist. Deforming the faith. There isn't even one set of global ethics in this time. I know there isn't global ethics or set ethics, but there are certain there is some kind of a collective consciousness on several things we recognize. So people in the world today do recognize that the West are leading on human ethics. That doesn't mean everything they say has to be spot on, but the world generally recognizes that. Even non-Muslim countries, even Muslim countries recognize that. Like the people within would say, oh, they will set their standards by the human rights standards and things like this. And you got to be honest that it is pretty much what it is. So there's no need to be all insecure. Take good wherever you receive it. You don't need to be all right, I want to say something. People, we got to stop being so goddamn who's your father? Who's your father, bro? Okay, my dad. Why do you have any doubts? You know what? As long as you're not going to come out and try and say it was you. Put me through a whole identity crisis at this age. Right, so we've got to stop being tribalistic, people. We've got to stop being tribalistic. We've got to, you know, Muslims, we unfortunately, not all of us, but so many of us, are so incredibly tribalistic. And we act like sometimes like school kids. Like that kind of, oh, can't be his friend. He's not my friend. Who could be? What you be his friend for? He's not my friend. But this is so true. Like, look, check this out, people. Right. This last week, you probably saw on social media, many Muslims were going mad because the Israeli Prime Minister or President Netanyahu, whatever on earth he is, right? I personally don't like the guy at all, right? Now, but Netanyahu had visited India, and so he's at some place doing some promotion, and it's visited by a big Bollywood star, Amitabh Bachchan, king, you know, one of the kind of big B, as they call him. He's like a legend of Bollywood. And his family are there. So Aishwarya Rai Ji is also there, and a few other people are there. And they're taking some photographs. So, and okay, and some people refused to attend, and I get that, but Muslims were sharing this picture everywhere, saying like, oh my God, this is so disgusting. How can Amitabh Bachchan stand with Benjamin Netanyahu, and how can he do this? Is disgusting. I will boycott Bollywood now. I mean, seriously, are you guys for real? Like, what on earth are you on about? Like, let me just get this into perspective. Look, I can't stand the totalitarian terrorist state of a country, Israel, and the atrocities it's conducted. But let's be honest, our outrage against Israel is based on two things, let's say. Or we could say arguably three things possibly. It's based first and foremost on religion. Let's be honest. It's based on religion. Nothing else. Starts off with religion. It's because we are saying Jerusalem and Masjid al-Aqsa, the third holy site, and it's that same ancient battle from the medieval times about who gets to keep Jerusalem. Right. Then it's to do with politics. Then it's to do with the humanitarian cause. Let's just be honest. Right. I, for one, I'm being honest. I can't stand Israel, the state of Israel, and its kind of terrorist atrocities. But my attitudes are influenced by these three. If anybody's going to say, no, it's because of the humanitarian cause, first and foremost. Don't lie. These are not nice. You know? Because look, let's face it. Why? Oh, because men, women and babies are being killed? Are they not being killed in Yemen? Where Saudi Arabia is bombing them, the UAE is bombing them, Egypt is bombing them, Bahrain is bombing them. Are they not babies? Are they not Muslims? Are they not human beings? I don't see you bothered about that. Doesn't bother you. Don't see you cancelling your trip to Dubai or cancelling your... Because the truth is, it's selective outrage. We've got selective outrage. Like, we select where to get angry and where not to get angry. Like, we're not going to get upset about Yemen because nobody cares about Yemen. I'm just being honest. I'm not trying to diss the Yemenis, but nobody cares. Nobody really cares about, let's say, South Sudan. What's happening, the atrocities in South Sudan or Darfur in Sudan. Nobody cares. Humans being killed, babies being killed. Nobody cares. Nobody cares about the things going on in China. Nobody cares. So stop lying. The truth is, it's not the humanitarian. It is, but that's a tertiary cause. It's not even the secondary, it's the tertiary cause. The first cause is religion has told you, like, you have this religious reason to be against the state of Israel and hate Netanyahu. And I'm amongst you, but I'm just being honest. Now, second is the politics to do with the Middle East and Arabs and Jews and stuff like this. And third is to do with the humanitarian cause. Now, let's be honest. Amitabh Bachchan from Bollywood is not a Muslim. He's not an Arab. Why would he care about Palestine? I mean, what makes you think he would be like... Did you know, for example, let's say there's a border issue going on between China and India, where there's been some atrocities in the past. Human beings have been killed. I don't see you hating China. Pakistan has a major ally. Its major international ally is China. They helped them create their version of the F-16 fighter jets. They've helped them with many issues. They've got major project. The Gwadar International Port that is being designed right now in Pakistan is currently under the administration of China. They are huge allies, yet China's killing Muslims, is killing human beings, is killing babies and whatever. It's got one of the worst human rights records. Nobody cares. So why are we getting wound up that why isn't Amitabh Bachchan so upset about our cause? Well, he's not a Muslim, and he's not an Arab, and he's not from the Middle East. He doesn't care. I mean, let's get this right. He got Aishwarya Rai to marry a tree. Seriously, I'm not making this up. He got her to marry a tree, so in line with Hindu customs, so the bad luck could fall on the tree, and then she could marry his son. This is a huge superstar and one of the leading people of India and Southeast Asia. Now, this is his mentality. I mean, if anything, I would find that so unacceptable that you marry. What the hell are the people doing? So, we're fine with everything. And, oh my God, why are they in a photo with Israel? Well, because it's not their problem. Why must your problems be their problems? What's up with this tribalism? So this is the thing that, when you see this kind of stuff, you think, wow, Muslims, we really need to kind of up our game. So, yeah. Anyway, that's an important thing to say there. To his son as a tree. No, that's, I'm just being honest, people. Look, I ain't gonna boycott Amitabh Bachchan. I've grown up watching his movies. So the truth is, this is just absurd, boycott aside, this is just absurd, this kind of selective outrage and being blind to why you're doing it. That said, there was an interesting debate I watched on YouTube once. And it's interesting because it analysed part of the Muslim mindset. Now, right, because, look, this was a debate. It's on YouTube. It's by the two people, Dr. Israr Ahmed from Pakistan, passed away. Now, he is debating Javed Ghamidi. Once again, a scholar from Pakistan who's now no longer in Pakistan because some wackos want to kill him. They want to kill him because he's got ideas. I mean, this is the world we're living in. Why have you got an idea that's different? I know. Let's kill you. Goddamn Neanderthals. So, anyway, in this debate, they're debating the concept of an Islamic State. It's actually a really good discussion to watch. It's on YouTube, it's in Urdu. But in there, they have a point because Dr. Israr is arguing for the concept of an Islamic State. And Javed Ghamidi is arguing against. But there's an interesting point in that discussion where Javed Ghamidi asks him that what would you say about, like, what are Muslims supposed to do? Let's say we had the Islamic State. What are we supposed to do? And he says, well, this is Dr. Israr says, that we are supposed to present da'wah to the non-Muslims. And if they don't accept, we're supposed to give them a choice. They either pay us taxes or do this, or we invade them. This is what he says. So Javed Ghamidi says to him, oh, so we attack them. Let's say they say, we're not going to embrace Islam. We're not going to give you taxes. Should we attack them? Is this what you're saying? And he says, yes. So Javed Ghamidi says to him, right, why? And he says, because we are supposed to rule over them. So he says, well, if you accept that as a philosophy, then isn't it by concept of war fair game that they too attack us? Isn't that just like fair game? Because if we're saying that, look, oh, if we had the opportunity and the circumstances, it's okay for us to attack and take over the world, by that standard, it's okay for other people to play that game too. And then Dr. Israr says, well, yeah, I guess they can. And he says, then why are you so offended about them attacking Afghanistan and Iraq and America doing this then? Why are you calling out about... No, I mean, why are you using human rights then? Because according to you, it's all fair game. You ought to be saying, well, oh, just tough luck that we got it bad, but you're using all these human rights things when really you're saying if you had the upper hand, you would do exactly the same. So he kind of catches him out on this point, and it was really, it's an interesting point to think about. Right, let's move on to another question, people. Another question. What's going on here? Do I believe in black magic or the evil eye? I don't believe in black magic or the evil eye. Evil eye. I've got videos of that on YouTube and Facebook. Check them out, like them, share them. Which reminds me, like this, share it, people. Get it out there. Come on, folks. What are you doing? Yeah, so. Right now. They didn't follow. How is Islam spread through conquest or missionary work? I mean, generally, Islam spread in the past through what I would say liberation. It did involve military conquests as well, but I find it unacceptable to think that it was a kind of oppressive... I think people at times, some people may have been oppressive, but generally the subjects wouldn't have accepted and welcomed Islam with the conditions that they did if it was oppressive in that way. I think for its day and age, Islam had a lot to offer. The only difference is today in the 21st century, humanity has caught up with a lot of these concepts and rights and maybe arguably surpassed most religions, if not all religions, with their understandings, and religions have been kind of held back by men. So, but in their day and age, in the heydays, in the medieval ages, when people didn't have rights and things like this, religion brought them a lot. So it was celebrated by people. This shirt is not tight enough. It isn't actually, you're right. Right, so what are we looking at, people? What are we looking at? Here's a question, a quick one. If somebody misses their salah whilst traveling. So when you are traveling, those of you just tuning in, click like, click share. Gracias por su respuesta. Don't worry about it. De nada, mi hermano. Don't worry about it. Those of you just tuning in, click like, click share, get this out there. Here's a quick question. When you are traveling, you can shorten your prayer and combine it. You can combine regardless of traveling, but you can shorten your prayer. If it's 4 rak'ah, 4 units can be reduced to 2 people, to 2. Now, what if you missed your prayer whilst you were a traveler and you come back? Do you make it up as, let's say you missed Dhuhr, which is 4 units. Now you're back. Do you make up just 2 as you would have if you were traveling? Or do you pray 4 as you would if you were a non-traveler, just somebody resident? Now, there is a difference of opinion on this. The school of Medina generally, the Maliki madhab and the Hanafi madhab generally speaking, are with the understanding that you would make it up as it was obligatory for you. So whilst you were traveling, you only had to pray 2, so 2 is fine. Okay, that's all you need to pray. The Shafi'i understanding and the Hanbali is that no, you pray 4 because you are now resident. So that there is a difference of opinion. I would say, look, you can do both, although generally I'm in line with the school of Medina as a Maliki, right? So you just pray 2 and that's fine, okay? So that's a quick fiqhi question right there. Right, why are the modern youth have a tendency to gravitate towards Salafism? That's a good question, Keith Hodge. I love these profiles. These profiles can't be legit. There's no way. I had somebody say to me, using a non-Muslim kind of name, I forgot now, an English name, had a profile saying, what a fake beep, beep, beep. I gotta beep out the swear words. What a fake beep, beep of a Mufti. And I thought, just check your profile. That profile is fake. I mean, it's actually fake. This. People. Right. So when did you join ISIS? Nathan. Natty. Right, well, let me just first of all, block your... right, now... Right, so, let's get on to... I think that's a good question asked there by Keith. Why are people attracted to Salafism? I think because the menu they offer gives a kind of simplicity which attracts people. I don't think they have the catering to support the simplicity, like most people don't. But they have a nice menu nevertheless. So they say things like, oh, we don't follow the opinions of men, we follow the Quran and Sunnah. That sounds nice. You know, it sounds like I like. Until you start reading their opinions. You realize, what the hell? These guys, nothing. I mean, they are in essence just Puritanists, nothing else. And they definitely are not cut out for the Western world 21st century. You know, I was reading Manji, please drink with the right hand. Hi. Manji's asking so nicely. He's asking so nicely, he's almost won me over, people. Yeah, Manji, you know, today, from all days, I actually wore a t-shirt that's got writing on there. And unless you've got some kind of special kind of dyslexia, where you read all the letters always backwards in the right order, right? So you should be able to tell that this is a mirrored image. But yeah, So coming back to the point, I think that's the thing. I was reading this question, a Q&A by these by some of these Salafis, and somebody had asked a question. They said, can we try? And actually, it's a question here. Shall we go to it? Actually, living in non-Muslim countries. Can we live in non-Muslim countries? So now the question: when you join ISIS, yo, really did? All right, okay. What's your opinion on these dolls? Oh, I know what you're talking about. I've been asked that question. I've been sent those links to those news articles and interviews. Natty. I'll come to that. What do we think about those dolls? I take it that's what we're talking about. Right, so, but let's take a look at this question. Living in non-Muslim countries. So, somebody said, can we live in non-Muslim countries? Can we travel to them? So these people read this hadith that the Prophet said, I am free from anybody living amongst mushrikeen. I mean, seriously, this is 2018, people. Need to wake up. What on earth are you guys on about? And some of these guys, they were writing, I was reading some of these fatwa, it's haram, and all this, it's, you know, if you, and you think, get real. First of all, the whole world has changed. First of all, let me give the real first of all is, these words, when the Prophet said them, it was for the safety and safeguarding of those people in that time who lived in a world 1400 years ago, right? 7th century Arabia, people. It's today the 21st century, right? So they lived in a very volatile world with people, there was hardly any safety, right? So when the Prophet said that, he said it as a safeguarding measure for the safety of the people. He never said this as a, oh my God, let's create separatism. There will be only Muslims living in the Middle East and there will be non-Muslims. What? Today in the 21st century, you've got people saying these kind of fatwa. And the ulama I've highlighted in the past, in the Maliki madhab, in Muslim Spain, even when things got so bad in Muslim Spain, many of the scholars said, look, you can migrate if you want, but you don't have to. And they were really bad. They said, even if you've got to eat pork, even if you've got to marry Christians by force, even if you've got to keep a Bible at home, even at that stage, they never said it was wajib to migrate. Some people did, but others didn't. Amongst them, Shaykh Wahrani and other people, great Maliki scholar. And other people, they said that you don't need to. That you can just pray with tayammum, you can pray by direction, you can pray. They were trying to make the deen a pragmatic thing. People today are like, oh my God, oh my God. So I read somewhere, these scholars were saying, somebody said, oh, I visited Canada, but when I got to Canada, what? Sorry, I was just trying to read some questions. They didn't make any sense to me. I couldn't. Right, so. Right, any trolls are going to get trolled, people. So, I can't see anybody right now saying anything, but they ought to, and the mock and block crew are supposed to be in full. I have a Coke and a... Alright, that's what I'm talking about. Right, people, those of you, look, even those of you that are watching, I mean, not to be distracted by any of these, any trolls, don't be, we don't need to be distracted by them. They'll get blocked. Right, now, the point is that somebody said, I visited Canada and I found Muslims there to be so strange. They said music was halal and this was halal and and you could do this and that and oh my God. And they're writing this to one of the Salafi sheikhs in Saudi Arabia, and he's saying, Astaghfirullah, Astaghfirullah, Toba, Toba, Toba. Right, so right now the thing is, this is just absurd. So he said, oh my God, these lands are of fitna and you need to stay away, and this is why your faith is not safe. This is nonsense. Right? Human beings, you belong wherever you want to belong. Right? Islam is for wherever you want to be. It is for the whole world if they want it. And if they don't want it, that's fine. But you do not need to get up and travel somewhere else. If you live in Canada by all means. If you, exactly, Brody, exactly, just love one another. Human beings first, okay? Scott Rose says, your laugh is haram. Scott, how on earth do you know the Islamic jargon? Right, so love the Jews. We should love Jews. We should love everybody. This thing of this anti-Semitism is a created phenomenon of the 20th century amongst Muslims. This is a very modern thing within Muslims. It's not, if you look at our literature, it was never like that. It's this, with the creation of Israel, there was several things that have kind of happened. And amongst them, unfortunately, has been a rise in Muslims as well of anti-Semitism. This did not exist in read our literature in the past. It did not. Jews, they took sanctuary in places like Morocco, Tunis, these places when they were tortured in Europe. They took sanctuary there. We did not have in Spain, the famous Jewish Maimonides, right, Ma'mun in Arabic, or right, the famous Maimonides was a very close friend of Ibn Rushd al-Hafid. In fact, Ibn Rushd, when he was undergoing trouble, went and spent 2 to 3 weeks living in the house of Maimonides. So this kind of thing of when the Jews, some Jewish people in the time of Shaykh Sidi Ahmed Zarruq were kind of targeted by some, it was a political kind of thing within Morocco. In his time, he fought and won, like the public kind of the battle in their defense. He fought for them. This is not true that Muslims have hated Jews and stuff like this. It's a very unfortunate kind of modern tragedy that's happened. I mean, I get the fact that Israel is wrong in the sense of the kind of atrocities it's committed and perpetrated, but equally to blame all Jews collectively is wrong. So I mean, because somebody said, as though Muslims hate Jews. I don't think all Muslims hate Jews, and Islam definitely did not teach us to hate Jews. Right, so people, what are Umayma yakhrab baytak? Look at that. If you convert to Islam, is it a must to change your name? Not at all. Not at all. Changing your name is not an Islamic. It's more a Muslim cultural thing. I mean, it's fine if you want to kind of create an identity and blend in with Muslims and things like that. Maybe you can have a name that's just your kind of social name amongst Muslims. I suppose people wouldn't know. So if you met somebody in the street and they said, well, what's your name? And he said it's Robert. They wouldn't assume you're Muslim. And if you're fine with that, that's fine. But maybe you might want to be kind of have an affiliation. So you might have a name. Like if you said, oh, my name's Hakim, people might go, oh, whoa, okay. Are you Muslim? Oh, yeah, I'm Muslim. It doesn't mean you need to officially change your name. You can, but it's not necessary. The companions in the time of the Prophet didn't change their name. The only time the Prophet changed people's names was for two reasons. One, if they had a name that was kind of theological and the Prophet was struggling, fighting against, his struggle was against shirk, the idol worship that was going on. So if their name was like the slave of such and such a god, then the Prophet advised them to change their names. Or if their name meant something pessimistic or kind of hostile. So the Prophet said to, like somebody whose name was War, and Prophet said, why don't you have the name Peace? So these kind of things. Okay. So so you know, you're aware changing names is... So somebody, by the way, somebody asked me this on one of my questions, Q&A. So they said, could you have Hindu names? Like, and I said, yeah, you can. Like they said, can you have Indian names that are not... I said, look, just avoid absolute kind of like names to do with gods and stuff like that, and the rest is fine. There's no... I said, and the person flipped and said, oh my God, malfunction. Goes, oh, so it's okay to have a name like Raj. I go, well, why not? Why can't you have a name like Raj? Naam to suna hoga. The person's like, well, is it? Then you might as well say it's okay to drink cow's urine. People are so dumb, some people, honestly. Like, first of all, what has that got to do with this? Muslims have got names that are not Islamic. Pakistan has got so many names that are not the Persian names. Shahzad, that's not an Arabic name. Parvez, these are not Arabic names. Jahangir, Alamgir, these names are not Arabic names. They're Persian, for God's sake. They came through Persia. Right? But people are, oh, that's okay. Don't worry about it. That's all good. But, oh, having the name Raj would be so... why? Stop this kind of separatism and hatred. I'm not saying you have to have names like that, but why are you so kind of like trying to forge an identity? Like, you don't... If you don't want it, don't have it, by all means. But you don't need to be so kind of uptight. And secondly, oh, so are you going to say drinking cow's urine is now halal? Look, first of all, right, I've never said you should drink cow's urine. I find that practice absurd, dumb and pathetic. And I don't care, I don't give a damn if Gandhiji used to drink cow's urine. Gandhiji was also a racist bigot, which he was, right? So the point is, look, I don't care if people... Of course you don't drink cow's urine. I find this dumb. And the fact that some Hindus do it, or that's, you know, some Hindus do it, that's absurd. That's just the blind kind of following that I'm against. Now, does it mean that Allah has to call it haram? Look, Allah doesn't have to call it haram. I'm not saying cow's urine is haram. I don't actually believe it's haram like that, because God gave you common sense. He gave you common sense. He didn't need to make everything haram. He knew that if you've got enough intellect, you're not going to do something so dumb and stupid. Right? So God doesn't have to stop you from doing everything. Like, God didn't need to say, people, don't eat stones. don't eat stones, don't eat stones. Don't go bite a tiger, don't go bite a lion. God didn't need to tell you to do the, don't continue walking when on a cliff. Don't continue walking when on a cliff. God didn't need to say these kind of things to you because he knew, let's say, we hope that because God has given aql to Bani Adam, the sons of Adam, they can figure out stupid stuff as being stupid and dumb. So this one, no. This one, dumb. No, we no do, dumb. Right, so God doesn't need to say everything to you. Okay, so yes, things like cow's urine may not be haram, but you don't drink it. Not everything that isn't, you don't just go around drinking everything just because it's not haram. For God's sake, how much, do I have to give you examples? Like, I don't know. You don't go around collecting mucus from people's nose and drink it because it's not haram. That's not haram, is it? It's not impure according to the... So anyway, coming back to, since we're speaking about animals and their urine, we've been asked a question about camel urine. Right, well... And here you've got the equivalent of, like we said, Gandhiji and his equivalent kind of insane Hindutva followers who drink cow urine. You've got the Muslim equivalent who drink camel. Cows, we're bigger than that. We drink camel's urine. I mean, you couldn't make this stuff up, could you? It's like as dumb as it gets. Like yeah, I drink bottled. It's like, what the hell are you on about? No, this one dumb. So they use a hadith, right? They use a hadith. God damn, honestly. They use a hadith. Right, so there's this hadith which is in Bukhari and it's in other books as well. And here once again we get the problem, the uncalculated, or it's just the disaster and calamity of some hadith. And this is why it's so important to distinguish between hadith and sunnah, as Imam Malik did and Imam Abu Hanifa did. Right, the thing is, this hadith, people, is da'if because it's muddarab, it's turbulent, it's rejected. Let me explain to you why. Let me explain. This hadith is to do with an incident. Right, this hadith is to do with an incident, an alleged incident. Bear with me, people, bear with me. I love a bacon sandwich. Sure you do, Stephen. Sure you do. Right, so now, those of you just tuning in, if you can click like, click share, get this out there, people. Right now, listen to this. There's an alleged incident which is highly problematic. I do not accept this incident, by the way. But let me explain the incident to you. The incident is that some people came from two tribes. There's a disagreement what tribe they were from. Some people say they were from this tribe called Uql, or from this place, this region, this affiliation of Uql or Uraina. Some people say they were a combination of both. There were a few people, they disagree how many they were, but they were a group. Some say there were 4, some say there were 8, some say there were more. They came to Medina, apparently, to the Prophet. And they asked to stay they sought settlement. You see, in the past, the way the Arabs had a certain custom as well, that if guests, travelers came and sought, they sought kind of refuge, ain't the right word, but they would, in Arabic, they would say like diyafa, like kind of like hospitality. There was a word that they would use, al-ja'iza, as well, which I suppose today means like a prize or something. But in that time it was used as well, and it comes in the books of Hadith, that where you go out of your way to provide for somebody as a guest. Now this, if they sought that with you, or sometimes this is referred to as qira in Arabic. So if they sought this with you, you would be kind of obliged as a kind of out of honor to provide them hospitality. So this was a practice in many communities, not just Arabs, but Arabs were very big on this as well in the past. Right now, right, so the issue is Adil Rashid, right? This guy's a joke. Don't worry, I'm gonna come to you. You're just disrupting my story, right? So these people came and sought refuge. Sorry, not refuge. Sought hospitality. They lived there, and then they start to get a bit. They come to the Prophet and they say that we're feeling a bit sick, and the Prophet says to them, "Well, you know, why don't you?" Because they were new to Medina, and obviously it's a new environment, and obviously everything is different. The bacteria, everything of a different city and town in that day and age will be different, so you could get sick. So the Prophet said to them, look, why don't you drink camel milk and do this and just rest and you'll get better. Now what happens is they apparently kill the couple that were offering them hospitality were an old man and an old lady in this story. They get this old man and lady, and they're troublemakers, and they torture this couple, and they blind them. They kind of gouge their eyes out, and they kind of like pop their ears or do something to their ears, and they right okay well, I've blocked the bacon loving troll, right, to enjoy his bacon sandwich in peace. Right now, so they get this couple and torture them. They cut their hands and feet off, and they kind of blind them and leave them there, and then they ride off. And then in this story, they then, god damn, right, so Mock and Block crew, I need you to be on it. You're a bit slow today, a bit slow. Right, so the thing is that, so in this incident, the Prophet then sends some companions after them. So these companions go and they chase after them and they catch them and bring them back. Now, when they come back, the Prophet says, okay, and to torture them back, or to retaliate, sorry, he has their eyes kind of gouged and their hands and feet cut off. This hadith, and sorry, in this hadith, when he said to them, drink camel milk, he said also drink camel urine. This is the hadith that they use. Right, so those of you, right, so those of you just tuning in, click like, click share, people. This is the story. This is the story. I do not believe this story to be accurate. But I'm telling you, first of all, the story so I can tell you why it's problematic and wrong. Okay, so I've got to first of all tell you what the story is. Then you can realize, okay, right, there's issues with this story. Right. Now, so the point is that this is what the people... So people have said, oh, since the Prophet said to them, drink camel urine is a thing. So other people have said, right, folks, bottoms up, and they drink now camel's urine as a thing, like because of this hadith in Sahih Bukhari. That is absurd. First of all, let me show you the problems with this hadith. This hadith has so much ittirab in it, so many problems in it. It's transmitted by several companions. The only companion who mentions the word of urine in it is Anas radiallahu an. The only companion who does that. No other companion mentions that wording. From him, only Ahlul Basra transmit this hadith. Nobody in Medina transmits it. Nobody in Mecca transmits it. Nobody in the Hijaz transmits it. Nobody in Sham transmits it. This is tafarrud of Ahlul Basra from Anas. He is the only Sahabi from all the Sahaba there to transmit this hadith with that wording of urine. From him, only Ahlul Basra, beginning with Abu Qilaba, and then other people transmit this. This is a fault and a hidden defect within this chain, which renders this chain problematic. Then there's that's some of the issues. Abu Dawood says that this has tafarrud in it. This is gharib. This is tafarrud of Ahlul Sham, and only Anas is the person to bring this. He also highlights that. Right? So we do not accept this riwayah. Secondly, they have massive disagreements amongst them in this story. Where were they from? How many were they? What did they do? Who were the people that the Prophet sent? Some people say the Prophet sent Salmat ibn al-Aqwa. Others said, no, that's a totally different narration. In one narration, Jabir is the person who says, Jabir ibn Abdullah al-Bajali says, the Prophet sent me to chase them. I took 20 companions with me. We caught them and brought them back. Jabir ibn Abdullah wasn't even a Muslim when this incident took place, allegedly. He wasn't even a Muslim. So this narration, then another part of this narration says, oh, when they were getting tortured, they asked the Prophet for water. And the Prophet allegedly said, no, you cannot have water. Qadi Iyad slams this narration, the Maliki Don. He says this is nonsense. In every ruling of Islam, we have specified that even if a person was up for capital punishment, they would be entitled to things like water. He said that this goes against every ruling the Prophet has taught. He says this is unacceptable. So yes, even though some people have accepted these things in the past. People like Imam Nawawi try to justify it and things like this. Other scholars problematized it. Ibn Sirin, who says this was before the rulings of hudud had even been revealed. He's from Basra. He's talking about this is an ancient story from that time. As in before the ruling, and then this got abrogated. The point is, people, this story is highly problematic. What exactly happened, whether something did happen or not, has clearly been massively adulterated. Right, now, one thing for sure, coming to what we were talking about, that can you drink camel's urine? Or should you drink it? No, you should not. Okay, that is nonsense. Right, Hamza Sharif. Right, now, so this point is muttarab and therefore da'if, even if it is in Bukhari. Even if it is in Bukhari. Da'if, this part is problematic, muttarab, cannot accept it. Okay, so that's that's how we've got to understand these things. So now you see people in Saudi Arabia doing that. Some people, they sell it in shops, camel urine, they feed it to kids. And all this and they're trying to do this in the name of Islam. What nonsense is that? So anyway, people, we do not need to tolerate this kind of nonsense in the name of Islam. Cool. Right, what are the questions you're saying is based on matan criticism. Well, it's not just based on matan criticism. I already told you. I gave you isnad criticism. I told you that there's tafarrud by Anas, and then there's tafarrud from him by Ahlul Basra. That's 2 tafarruds. Problema. It's a big problem, right? So, and then on top of that, it clashes with the riwayat of non-Basriyin. Then you've got all the matan criticism as well. Hell yeah, people. That's what I'm talking about. That's what. Right, so what are the questions we're looking at? Right, so we do not accept that narration. No, we do not. Right, now. Right, what are we looking at, people? I've been asked a question on the... Right, well, I've answered this before. I've been asked a question on the halala business. Right, I've spoken on this so many times before, so I suppose I'll just refer you to my previous clips. You can search it there. I do not agree with any of that being okay, and people do not need to take those kind of nonsensical routes. Okay. A question on: are non-Muslims allowed to visit Mecca? Okay, this is a good question. All right. Right, this is a good question. Are non-Muslims allowed to in Mecca? Now, the scholars disagreed on this traditionally. Okay, you had certain madhabs, you had a disagreement. So, people like generally the Maliki madhab traditionally, they were of the understanding that non-Muslims do not visit Mecca. Generally, the early Malikiya were of that understanding. However, this was you had madhabs like the madhab of Imam Abu Hanifa that said non-Muslims can visit Mecca, and they can, and that's not a problem. They can visit any and every mosque they want. And Imam Shafi'i and Imam Ahmed were kind of like, well, they can visit any mosque. They weren't okay with Mecca, but they said they can visit any mosque if there was a need. This is the kind of... now the disagreements, let me go to the disagreements on this. They disagree based on a verse of the Quran in Surah At-Tawbah, where Allah says that إِنَّمَا الْمُشْرِكُونَ النَّجَسِ, that the polytheists are impure. فَلَا يَقْرَبُوا الْمَسْجِدَ الْحَرَامِ, that they should not come to the sacred masjid بَعْدَ عَامِهِمْ هَذَا, after this year. Now, Imam Abu Hanifa argued, and some Malikiya, by the way, including people like Hattab, the great Andalusi Maliki from Muslim Spain, and people like Ibn Ashur, argued that this was to do with Hajj and not to do with the mosque. Whereas some of the early scholars said, no, this was to do, because the word masjid is used, they're not allowed in Masjid al-Haram, they're not allowed in Mecca. So this was the disagreement. The other thing was that those who argued for that they are allowed and they're just not allowed in the Hajj, they said that this was also, if you look at the Hadith, the Prophet invited Christians in his mosque, and the Prophet also held, at the time there was a perpetrator by the name of Thumamat ibn al-Uthal. He was also held captive in the mosque, and he was fed and held there, and then the Prophet let him go after 3 days. But he was also retained in the masjid. And if non-Muslims were not meant to be in the mosque, then surely he could have been held somewhere else. And when the Christian delegation came, they also came to the mosque. So this is the kind of disagreement. There is on that verse of the Quran, this is Ibn Ashur, the famous, one of my who I take as my indirect teachers, who I have a kind of chain, a license from. Sidi Bu Khubza, who has a license from Ibn Ashur, who passes away in the 60s, the Shaykh al-Islam of his time, and the Grand Mufti of the Malikiyah. So in his commentary, which is in 30 volumes of the Quran, he speaks on this verse that I've mentioned, that we've got here, which is, you've got here verse 28, Ya ayyuhalladhina amanu, those who believe, innamal mushrikuna najas, that the polytheists are impure, فَلَا يَقْرَبُ الْمَسْجِدَ الْحَرَامِ بَعْدَ عَامِهِمْ هَذَا. They should not come to the Masjid al-Haram after this year. Now he also highlights, and he's one of the Maliki legends, and he highlights that, look, وَالْإِشَارَةُ إِلَى الْعَامِ الَّذِي نَزَلَتْ فِيهِ الْآيَةِ وَهُوَ عَامُ تِسْعَةٍ مِنَ الْحِجْرَةِ. That when Allah says after this year, He's talking about the 9th year. The 9th year in which, 9th year of Hijrah. Because فَقَدْ حَضَرَ الْمُشْرِكُونَ مَوْسَمَ الْحَجِّ فِيهِ. That the non-Muslim polytheists at the time had attended the season of Hajj. And وَأَعْلَنَ لَهُمْ فِيهِ أَنَّهُمْ لَا يَعُودُونَ إِلَى الْحَجِّ بَعْدَ ذَلِكَ الْعَامِ. And it was announced to them that after this year, do not return to the Hajj. Okay? Because remember, they too had a Hajj season. Because the Hajj rituals were not exclusively Muslim at the time. Non-Muslim polytheists used to also kind of do their own Hajj. So it was announced. Now, he mentions, so he says, وَالْمَقْصُودُ مِنَ النَّهِي عَنِ اقْتِرَابِهِمْ مِنَ الْمَسْجِدِ الْحَرَامِ. That the purpose, the objective of prohibiting them from coming to the Masjid al-Haram, the sacred mosque, is النهي عن حضورهم الحج. لأن مناسك الحج كلها تتقدمها زيارة المسجد الحرام. And then he goes on, وَلِذَلِكَ لَمَّا نَزَلَتْ بَرَاءَ أَرْسَلَ النَّبِي بِأَنْ يُنَادَ فِي الْمَوْسِمِ أَلَّا يُحَجْ بَعْدَ الْعَامِ مُشْرِكٍ. And he mentions that the Prophet made announcements saying that, okay, the polytheists, although they also have their version of Hajj, but after this year, they will not come to the sacred masjid for Hajj, because this is an Islamic kind of ceremony. Right, so that's in Ibn Ashur's tafsir. And that is the understanding that I kind of go with, and people like Shaykh Mawaq from Muslim Spain, and Imam Abu Hanifa, and other people do follow as well, that yes, Muslims can go to, if they had to, they can go to Mecca. They can, and they definitely are welcome in any mosque. In Mecca, it's just the season of Hajj that there was a prohibition. Why? Because they had certain superstitious and polytheist practices associated with Hajj, and that ritual of Hajj had to be kept sacred and could not be contaminated. So that's the kind of reasoning. Ahlan wa sahlan, those of you just tuning in, ahlan wa sahlan, click like, click share, people, get this out there. So that's some of the questions. So you could see there the disagreement on can non-Muslims attend any masjid, and can they attend Masjid al-Haram, Mecca. So that's the kind of disagreement between the madhabs. Some people might say, well, they can't come because they're impure. Some people might say non-Muslims can't come into a masjid because we believe them to be ritually impure. And this is called Junub, right? A state of Junub. Now, they might quote the hadith. There is a hadith, لا أحل المسجد لحائض ولا junub. That I do not declare my masjid permissible, the Prophet said in an alleged hadith, right? For a woman who is menstruating, or for a person who is ritually impure. This hadith is in Abu Dawood and in Ibn Khuzaymah and Bayhaqi, and it is transmitted from Aisha by a woman by the name of Jasratu bint Dajaja. Now Jasra, this person is da'if. This is da'if, people, da'if, unacceptable. So this narration is da'if. It is not true. A Junub person can go to the mosque if they want. that is the understanding of some of that is the understanding of the Shafi'i madhab. It is the understanding of some of the Malikiya, or the transmission of Ibn Maslama, and this is permissible. And a woman on her menstrual cycle can go to the masjid. There's no such prohibition. I do not believe there to be any such prohibition. Any prohibition was simply more to do with hygiene than it was to do with theology or rituals. Okay, so that's all it simply was. Now, just to kind of clarify, okay, so this hadith, and there are some variants of this hadith, of that a junub or a haid cannot go into the masjid, but they are da'if. Okay, they've got problematic kind of issues with that. Okay, so you can check that up. Right, so what other questions have we got, people? What's going on? What's going on? Somebody's asked about the Satanic Verses. I've already answered that before in much detail about the Satanic Verses. Satanic Verses are completely unreliable. They are to do with these 3 verses that allegedly the Prophet said as part of Surah An-Najm whilst reading the Quran. Amani wa alaykum as-salam, ahlan wa sahlan, ahlan wa sahlan. Right, so, right, ¿cómo estás? I hope things are going well. Right, so, muy bien, muy bien. Right, so somebody's asked, can a search in Google yourself? Right, so the Satanic Verses are allegedly this narration that the Prophet praised the idols, these 3 idols, whilst in Mecca to kind of appease the non-Muslims. And these were verses of the Quran that later on Muslims took out. So this is apparently and it's in Surah An-Najm, and I find it absurd. And the verses read, so basically the verse in the Quran when Allah says that it follows Allatu wal-Uzza wa manata thalithatal ukhra, that these 3 gods are mentioned in the Quran, but Allah says that, you know, that these are just names that you have made up. But they claim before that verse, ma anzalallahu biha min sultan, before these verses, there were these verses that after the Prophet said that, he said, tilka al-gharaniq al-ula wa inna shafa'atahunna la turtaja. That he said that these are like great entities, and indeed we seek their intercession. Now this is a fabrication that people made up, and really some hadith dogmatists became so kind of immersed in their hadith dogmatism that they almost declared them acceptable. But they're utterly unacceptable nonsense, absurdities, which Qadi Iyad and many people have said that this is absolute nonsense. There's no way on earth the Prophet said that. And the whole Quran is full of rejecting these kind of false gods. So it doesn't make any sense. And the surah they chose begins by saying, and some people said, oh, the Prophet just said it. But the surah, it's almost destiny and divine fate, that God, knowing that they would choose this surah, begins that surah by saying, because some Muslims said, oh, maybe he just said it. Some people said, okay, maybe he was quiet and he just sounded. But Allah begins, وَالنَّجْمِ إِذَا هُوَ مَا ضَلَّ صَاحِبُكُمْ وَمَا غَوَى وَمَا يَنْطِقُ عَنِ الْهَوَى. That he does not utter from his desires to appease people. إِنْ هُوَ إِلَّا وَحْيٌ يُوحَى عَلَّمَهُ شَدِيدُ الْقُوَى. Now these are the verses of Surah An-Najm, that this is but revelation being taught to him by one of might. Like, this is not, like, he does not just say things to kind of appease people. So it's almost from divine kind of fate, really, that they chose a surah which Allah then begins that surah with these verses. So these satanic verses, it's a nonsensical kind of fabricated story which I'm disappointed in sometimes in the likes of Imam Tabari and other people to have included these things. Obviously they're great people, but I'm disappointed in these kind of actions of these. And even by the likes of Imam Ibn Hajar, who is a great legend of a sheikh, but I'm disappointed in his action here in trying to lend some authenticity to this hadith by trying to say that the chains are acceptable. No, they are not, Ibn Hajar. No, they are not. So that's that. Is somebody sinful if they pray at home with no excuse? No, I do not believe they are sinful if they pray at home. It's good to pray in the masjid, it's sunnah, but it's not sinful, in my understanding. Obviously, some people may take a very puritanist, extremist kind of like, I don't mean extremist as in like an extremist, terrorist extremist, but I mean an extreme understanding. But that's not. Can a Muslim go to a Christian family or friend's funeral? Of course they can. Gabiba, of course they can. And I've been asked these questions before that, look, somebody asked me today that could you pray for a non-Muslim if he was, let's say, on his deathbed? And I've said, of course you can. And I actually believe you can pray for non-Muslims even after they've died. Because you don't know. Everybody's in the mercy of Allah. That's what the Hadith and that's what the Quran teaches us. So why can we not? You can pray for anybody. And somebody could say, yeah, but somebody could say, yes, but what about these verses? Like, let's say about Ibrahim alayhi salam, that Allah is saying, yeah, don't pray for so-and-so. Yes, because, you see, for a prophet, by example, by setting rituals, for somebody that exclusively opposes and is seen as a tyrant, that's different. That's like saying the pharaohs and these people, they were different. It's like saying Hitler, right? People who the general public sentiment is against as well. By you trying to pray for these people, you are turning those people away from you, and you as a prophet are ultimately turning them then away from God. So this is why, obviously, for people who become figureheads of totalitarianism and oppression and kufr in its, though that's different. But for regular people, and I accept the fact that most Muslims will tell you that you can't do that. I accept that, but I disagree with them. What is the proof that the Prophet was sarcastic when he said to the women have only... Yeah, you see, this hadith, when it's a joke. It's like, this is just humor. And, when the Prophet said, in that particular hadith of having half an intellect. I mean, you see, humor happens all the time. What we forget is that the Prophet was a normal human being. To us as Muslims, he's the best of people, but he was a human being living amongst human beings. You see, he wasn't always just being revelation, teaching, and he was also just being normal. Where he would talk, where he would joke, where he would laugh, where he would listen to poetry. He would say, in Tirmidhi, in these hadith in Tirmidhi, in Bukhari, they say we would sit in the masjid and we would talk about the Jahiliyyah days of ignorance. They say we would spend the whole night reciting Jahiliyyah poetry. Which, by the way, is full of nothing but, people could say violence and sex and all this kind of stuff. But they would listen because this was what they grew up listening to. It was normal. It was like, so, and all the companions would do, everybody would do that. This was a part and parcel of their society. Plus you have to remember, their lifestyle was a very warrior kind of lifestyle. And I keep reminding people this because it's very important to understand that. Now, when the Prophet said that, he was being sarcastic. Now you could say, well, how do you know he's being sarcastic? Well, obviously, well, I wasn't there, neither were you. So when I say, look, I wasn't there, you know, you might say, well, see, you weren't there, well, but neither were you. So we're both analysing the texts, and I'm analysing them by looking at the greater context of Islam and seeing that this is how it adds up. So, you know, and the Prophet would, sometimes he'd crack jokes with people and things like that. But the Prophet, by his general personality, he wasn't always kind of joking and laughing. He wasn't somebody like that by his own personality. Not that he was against that, but he wasn't like that. But he would sometimes crack jokes and say things. And right, so right, people, we're getting close to. Shall we wrap up? What are some questions, people? What are some questions, huh? Right, so people. Oh, right, I was asked a question. And speaking of a nutty question, I was asked a question about what do we have to say about these dolls? Okay, these dolls that are coming out. I don't know if you've seen them, right? That they're preparing these artificial, intelligent kind of dolls, that companion dolls. I think one's called Harmony or something. And they've said, well, what is the ruling? So people have said, well, what is the ruling on Islam to have this? And all the guys, everybody's probably like, God, how much do they cost? Because I got to start saving now. First of all, the ruling in Islam is, I don't think it's haram, because things by default are always permissible unless proven overwhelmingly to the contraries. I'm just thinking, damn, how is it gonna, if I want to buy, right, okay. Guys, if you see me with like a kidney short, I'm thinking of I'm just going to survive on one kidney, it's alright. I'm going to sell a kidney. I'm just going to be like, you're just going to see me always with a smile and a cigar, just walking around. I'm going to kind of section off certain parts of my home. Just kind of walk around in a gown all the time. Just like, yeah, look, have a pleasant conversation, and then that's it. Put them away. No food, nothing else. No, just intelligent companions. I was thinking about, somebody said they cost around 5k. So for 150k, I'm gonna be able to. Gonna have my own little paradise here, people. It's gonna be just like, all right. Come on, don't lie, people. I'm only saying what every man on here is thinking anyway. So, but obviously, everybody in public's gonna be like, oh, that's disgusting. Oh, how could you be so? How could such people be so shallow? Yeah, I just got to go home, you know, I've just got some things at home which I just got to do, yeah, so, yeah, no, I'm just going to... It's like happiness is a cigar called I do not smoke. Alright, so, yeah, but technically speaking, from an Islamic perspective, look, these things are a personal thing. If people want to do them, they're not forbidden from an Islamic perspective. You may lose friends by telling people. That's only because they're jealous. Somebody may say from an Islamic perspective, look, that, yeah, but you can't do that. And you say, well, why not? They say, yeah, because they're not humans. You say, well, so? Say, yeah, but Bunny, they're not insan. So, wait a minute, but let me do qiyas. If I'm going to use analogy, or not. Let's take a look at the women in paradise, yeah? Right, so they don't eat. The hur of Jannah, they don't eat. They don't drink. They don't... They're not Bani Adam. They're not from the children of Adam. Is this not a fair analogy? I know there's going to be some serious refutations on me based on this, but, well, there you go, people. Well, each to their own. All I'm saying, I'm not saying you have to do this. All I'm saying is I don't think it's haram. Right, so let's get back to... Somebody said, somebody sent me a message saying, you've had another refutation. I haven't read this refutation done on me by Maulana Zamil. Maulana Zamil from Birmingham has apparently done a refutation where he says there is somebody who claims to be a Muslim and yet denies the miracle of the tree speaking. That's because trees don't speak. And I've already explained that hadith is transmitted by Jabir. Tafarrud. Right? So there's issues with the chains, people. Issues with the chains. And I've explained I don't accept that to be a Sahih hadith. But anyway, I mean, people have said, yes, he kind of refutes you. And look, let me highlight. I have said over and over again, I've said to this Maulana Zamil Ji, come and sit in front of me. Talk to me. Talk to me now. Right? I've offered him a dialogue. He lives in the same, he probably lives, I don't know, 20 minutes away from me. He lives in the same city as Birmingham. So I've said, look, why don't you come and sit with me? Talk to me. And he's refused. He said, no, I'll never go talk to Mufti Abu Layth. I don't sit with the people of innovation and the people of bid'ah and the heretics and I don't sit with people who are misguided. You pure one, you. Natty. Is that so? You don't sit with the people of deviance. You don't sit with us deviants, huh? Well, I've asked you, if you want to come sit, talk to me. I'm here. If you want to run away and hide, like the little Puritanist that you are, then what to do? What to do? I can't, I'm not gonna... I've called you to come. You don't want to come talk to me. You want to write like a little nerd sitting somewhere, your little posts, and post them on a blog which nobody reads anyway. Aao huzur, samne baithiye, sit in front of me, talk to me. It's good to talk. But they don't want to... You see, this is the problem with these people. They don't want to talk face to face. They say, oh, don't listen to them when they talk. The devil. وَمِنَ النَّاسِ مَنْ يُعْجِبُكَ قَوْلُهُ فِي الْحَيَاةِ الدُّنْيَا. And there are people whose words will be... They will allure you with their words. Well, anyway. It's got to be... But I gotta say, the hate sometimes is so real. I mean, it's so shockingly real, people. It's amusing. I got the... Alright, I'm gonna share this. It's past midnight, so it's way past the watershed, right? So there should only be adults watching anyway at this hour. Now, so the thing is, so I had somebody comment on my thing. This is on my Facebook, people. They commented, trolling me. Muslim. He said, you fake Mufti. You fake beep Mufti. The Maulvis, the Maulanas in Birmingham. Like, he's trying to tell me the Maulanas in Birmingham they're gonna watch. Like, basically, I'm gonna get refuted. I'm gonna get done. This is what he wants to say, yeah? This is what he wrote, people. Religious person. I don't know who he is. He wrote, the Maulanas in Birmingham, watch, you fake Mufti. They're gonna finger you, they're gonna finger your behind. He didn't even use the word behind, he actually... This, people, I can't make this stuff up. Seriously, wallah, this is what, on my Facebook post. He wrote, the Maulanas are gonna do this to you, watch out. I thought, alright, I didn't know you play those games. I mean, if you told me you play those games, I could have arranged a meetup. I was like, my question is, can I at least invoice them afterwards? I mean, seriously, this is the kind of language people are using. I mean, it's hilarious. I'm trying to get my head around, like, what? Like, I mean, are you religiously furious? But this is how you're reacting. Like, I don't get... Seriously, people, it's amazing. It's amazing. So this is the kind of stuff that sometimes I read, and it just shocks me. Like, I think, wow. And it also kind of reveals to me the kind of people I'm dealing with, I guess. Natties. This one, not nice, this one. This habit, wrong habit from madrasa you pick up. These kind of habits you have to leave. This one get you into trouble, this one. So, people, right, so that's, anyway, that's some of the entertainment that I've been kind of seeing this past week, as you can see. It's amusing, it's entertaining to see how people how people react in different ways, what emotions I stir in people. Ah, well, it's a strange world, I guess. It's a strange world. Mahsin al-Amrit, ya mutawwa. I'm not a mutawwa. Why are you so refuted? I don't know, people, I think they're so insecure to reason and critical thought. It scares them. Wagwan, can you clarify the hadith of dipping? I'll go into that next week, inshallah. I'll go into that hadith next week. So, right, people, if there's any quick rapid round questions, I'll answer them about the truth, even if they appear to be contradictory. Yes, I mean, truth is not a democracy. We do not believe in a democracy of truth. There can be, you can be one person that's correct. You don't need to be a democracy. Out of the people who refute you, why mostly Salafi? I'm not sure if it's mainly Salafi. I think Puritanists have a big problem with me, naturally, because I'm not very Puritanist. In fact, to them, as you can see, I'm like the devil incarnate. So, Ibn Abbas on music. Ibn Abbas, I've spoken about music previously. It said shooting stars on missiles to hit jinns. That's not true. I've answered that in much detail previously. Is bathing mandatory after intercourse? For him, a ritual bath, ghusl, is necessary, as in a person just takes a shower and you just keep it natural. Just wash over. You don't need to go OCD or anything. Can you drink non-alcoholic beer? Of course you can if you want. What's your take on the Sheikh Atabek's article on the Dajjal? I haven't read his article on the Dajjal. I will do. Must men always provide for women? I think that's dependent on the context. I think in this day and age, if both people are working, then I don't think It's mandatory. I think people can have a kind of joint contribution, but they should have some understanding. I suppose that's the thing with having a relationship, you'd have some understanding. I think it's definitely kind of chivalry, and it's kind of like, you know, like a man ought to, the way I see, kind of provide. That's just my way of looking at the world. Do I think Islam mandates that? I think in a kind of patriarchal society it mandates that. In a society where women equally earn, it wouldn't mandate it, but it would probably recommend it. That's what it would probably do. So, but I do find, I think people should all contribute. Obviously, if a woman was earning money and she should equally help out. But I do find it strange when people are like very kind of down to the penny and down to the pound. And I don't know how people like that really get by, actually. You know, they're very like, oh, you did this and I did this. And couples, I mean, I don't know, I suppose each to their own. But I just find it very strange that people can be like, because it's a very strange, it's like almost with strangers, you know, like, oh, you paid this for this, I'll pay £5 for that. And I find that very strange, this kind of talk. What is the view of scholars? Natural state for us, only facts. Scholars about aspersions. What do you, I don't think I understand that question. What is the view of scholars about aspersions? Asperger's syndrome, I mean, it's you know, I'm not sure what you mean by what is the view of the scholars regarding that. I don't fully understand that. Any other rapid round? Talk to Abu Ibrahim Husnain lately? No, I haven't. After the da'if hadith that he brought, he's more than welcome to bring a few more da'if hadith. Your thoughts on Muhammad al-Yaqoubi? Shaykh Muhammad al-Yaqoubi? Shaykh Yaqoubi is, I mean, he's known, he's a popular scholar. He has a large following in the UK. I'm not sure. I think Shaykh Yaqoubi, to be fair, is much more open-minded and very kind of in sync with the times, much more than his followers are, and much more than they make out to be. So I think they are not necessarily a good reflection of the Shaykh himself, and I think because of that he may be trapped as well in trying to kind of not displease the crowd entirely, because it doesn't matter who you are. When you have a following, you're kind of, especially if it's that kind of this kind of order following, it becomes, the problem with these things is they unfortunately become like cults, and then it's like everybody, it's like a codependency. So it's strange. This is why I've never really taken an interest in like a cult-like mentality or groups or things like that, because they inhibit your critical reasoning. Why do people complicate Aqidah? I agree. Aqidah is simple. You just believe in Allah, His messengers, His books, the revelation, that an afterlife, that Allah is ultimately in control, and that's it. How can you find yourself? Wah, what a question. God knows. Shaykh, if Allah commands ta'awudh in the Quran, then why don't the Maliki say in Salah? Allah has not said do ta'awudh in Salah. And the Malikiya do not do it because we do not believe the Prophet ever did it. Your thoughts on the reliance of the traveller? It's a Shafi'i text, Umdatul Salik, translated by Sheikh Noor Hamim Keller. It's been around for decades now. Shafi'i fiqh, I guess. Shafi'i fiqh. Did God create humans just for worship? No, I do not believe God created humans just for worship. What would be the point of that? Well, where would the fun in that be? I think God created humans to show that bloody cheesy, yeah. You can't, and that's in my understanding, the verse of the Quran where Allah is telling the angels that you don't comprehend what this Adam species is. Very cheesy. You know, You know? You don't understand this. As Aziz Mian says, ye mitti ki moorat badi cheez hai. Like this statue of clay, this is something else. You can't, it's on another level. Favorite science book? There's so many. I mean, I listen to more audio books than going through actual kind of books. I think a lot of Dawkins stuff is amazing. Stephen Hawking's amazing thing, his Brief History of Time. Even The Human Universe is good. These are these are science, kind of very scientific. I mean, there's loads, so many things. But what are your views on Milad? I've answered that stuff in the past. Women can't travel alone. I've answered that in the past, that they can. And Abul Walid al-Baji, the Maliki Don from Muslim Spain, explains that yes, they can. Right, the women can travel alone, of course they can, and that's the hadith of the Prophet as well in Bukhari, that when there will be peace on earth, you will see a woman will come from Sana'a, she will travel alone all the way to Mecca and fearing nobody but Allah. That shows that when the Prophet said about women not traveling alone, it was only for safeguarding purposes. Hence they all disagree, the hadith. In one hadith it says 1 day's journey, some it says 2 days journey, some it says 3 days journey, some narration says 3 days and above journey, because the kind of area where there was peace with the local tribes varied and fluctuated over time. So as the peace would increase, the Prophet would increase that kind of journey span. Right, so there's no such thing as Islamic clothing. Right, so what would the... Right, people, I think we gotta wrap this up. I think we gotta wrap this up, people. So if you are new to my Q&A, do like it, do share it, get this out there. Click the like, send some love this way, people, and right back at you. So, and if like both my profiles, that's Mufti at my general page and my public page. And if you've got any questions, you can send them to me on Messenger or on my profile. I do try to respond to them. If you're on Instagram, you can add me, Mufti Abu Layth. If you're on Snapchat, you can add me, Malm2014, MALM2014. And I do try to respond to people there as well. We'll finish with the final words that Subhanallah wa ta'ala amma yasifun, that Allah is above and transcendent of that which they ascribe to him. And afdalu salati wa salam ala al-qa'il al-mamnoon, the best of blessings and salutations upon the messenger, the blessed messenger, who said, al-madinatu khayrul lahum law kanu ya'lamun, that indeed Medina is better for them if but only they knew. Right, people, take very good care of yourselves, and I'll see you all next week. Wassalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi ta'ala wa barakatuh. Adios, mi gente.